Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, hi. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, David, the one with the eternal suntan. Where do you buy that spray from? Same place I get my hairspray, I bet, huh? It's so nice to be with you again. When somebody asks me what's the nicest thing that could ever happen to you in this world, it is in fact to invest your time, to visit with, to be with, to hold hands with, to walk down the pathway of success with winners. That's what you are. You are winners. And Starlight clearly loves you deeply. Last time in Orlando, Fun City, USA. And today in Nashville. I love Nashville. In fact, I worked in this very room last week. I have to admit to you, it didn't look anything like this. There were some 2,000 technology experts here in the room, had no color, no life, no excitement. So it's worth it being with you just to look at the scenery and the view and see the touch of Hollywood and everything that you do. And it's much more worthwhile to be with you because of who you are and what you believe in and where I know in my heart you are headed. I love Nashville for lots of reasons. Now, I'm not a country music fan, but I love to listen to country music. And just coming in from the airport, right about 11:30 this morning, I heard a couple of songs, and I got to tell you what they said. They were both love songs. It seems like every country song is a love song. One of them said, "You stole my heart, and you stumped that sucker flat." Now, you know, for a Lebanese boy, that doesn't sound like much of a love song to me. And the other song I thought was even greater. It was some woman who was lamenting the fact that her lover had done her in. And she said, "I'm in the gutter now, but if I go back to you, that'll be a step down." Oh my. You remember last time we visited, I shared with you that I learned English from scratch. Remember that? I said I took 3x5 cards, inch by inch life, in fact, is a cinch. I took 3x5 cards, wrote 10 English words on the card. Today I'll memorize those words. Tomorrow another 3x5 card, 10 more English words. Memorize those as I reviewed yesterday's 10 words. The next day the same story over and over. And if you recall, I said to you I gave myself Sunday off because I'm a Methodist. And we Methodists have to reintroduce ourselves to God at least once a week. We are not like Baptists. We have no guaranteed passage. People say to me, "Nido, why are you always picking on the Baptists?" It's simple. You make a Baptist man, he'll pray for you. You make a Presbyterian mad, he'll tell you to go to hell. So there you go. You got to pick on the ones that'll be willing to pray for you. Well, I'm very delighted to be with you this afternoon. In the short time that we have together, we have in fact prepared a handout called How to Be a Great Communicator, which incidentally is the title of one of my newest books. It was on the Book of the Month Club selection and Money Magazine's Book of the Month Club selection both this year. One of a dozen books or plus that I've written that are active today. And it's a very, very important subject to me, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But I'm delighted to be with you here today because when you come in this room, you definitely see Steve Goldberg's touch. 25 years on Hollywood shows, in all the technology here, and all the beauty in the room, and all the excitement on the stage, and all the high-tech high touch and people who really want to get real, get well, and help other people get their dreams fulfilled in life because of the products that you sell. When you have great products and you have a great business plan, which is precisely what Starlight International provides for each of us, then you really have it made. And when you live in North America, you are on your way to the finest of banks. So get real, because you're getting well really fast. Let me tell you this, the 21st century is going to be unforgiving for the man or woman who is not confident. The 21st century is going to be unforgiving for the man or woman who will not be confident. It is the confident people in our midst who are going to make life worth living, who are going to achieve their goals, who are going to climb up the ladder of success, who are going to have the kind of downlines other people only talk about, dream about. And the question you ought to be asking here this afternoon in Nashville at this wonderful Opryland Hotel, this incredible Starlight event is this: how do I become confident? How do I make sure I am confident? And the answer really is simple. The answer is really, really simple. You see, competence leads us to confidence. I'm not talking about the kind of confidence where it's just rah, rah, rah. You get excited, you holler and scream and stand and run and listen to motivational tapes and smile. All that is wonderful. I do it myself. But it's not enough. The kind of confidence that I'm speaking about, dear friends, is the kind of confidence that comes out of real stuff. Knowing your stuff and doing your stuff. And doing it repeatedly, so that your confidence really grows out of competence. Somehow when you're good at what you do, you feel confident in your life. Where does competence come from? It comes from knowledge. Don't ever miss one of these sessions. Don't ever pass a copy of the magazine that you don't read or a tape you don't listen to. It comes from skill. Seek the people who can teach you the ropes and learn them well. And it comes from experience. Doing it over and over and over again in the right way, at the right time, with the right people. Knowledge, skill, and experience leads you and me to competence. And competence leads you and me to confidence. And here's the clicker: confidence would lead you and lead me to commitment. That's what we got to do. Make a commitment. In my book called Stairway to Success, I make this statement, and I think it's a clever statement. In fact, scratch that. I think it's embedded with wisdom. Because here's what the statement said: you make a decision with your brain, but you make a commitment with your heart. And then I will take it to another stage and to another stage. So as you stand up in just a moment, the only sound in this ballroom shall be my sound, just giving you instructions what to do next. Now you may stand up, make as much eye contact with as many people as you can, no words whatsoever, just make eye contact, pleasant, smiling faces. Wonderful. You should be able to make eye contact with a dozen people or so. Move around so you can do that. You've done a good job. Now what I want you to do is to meet as many people as you can around you. Just gently shake their hands, tell them hello, how are you? Try to do that. Go ahead. Okay, good job, good job. Now then, what I want you to do is those same people you made eye contact with, those same people you shook their hands and told them, how are you? I want you to imagine these are your long lost friends. These are your childhood friends. You haven't seen them in years. Wait a minute. And now you're going up to the airport or to the train station to meet them. Let them know you love them. Go for it. Good job. Very good job. Help me clap. That's it. And please be seated. Very good. It was nice when you made eye contact. Some of you were falling in love. It was nice when you shook hands with others. But it was really, really good, wasn't it? Well, sure, it's easy for you to say that. You're sitting next to a good-looking dude. In fact, she's the one who begged me to do this exercise, you know. She's been writing me letters ever since Orlando. Do this exercise. Well, you know what happened the third time? We went beyond mere communication, beyond mere words. And what happened was we connected mind and soul and body. The essence of the process of effective communication rarely depends on words or merely eye contact. In fact, it exudes connectiveness. And you know how that feels. You know how it feels when you speak with someone and you walk away and you say, that person and I just sort of connected. There was something that pulled us together. I understood his wishes, his dreams, her aspirations, her fears, and he or she responded to me so magnificently, and we connected. And somehow when we connect with people, we no longer have to sell them anything or sell them on anything. Somehow when we connect with people, they sort of stand in line wanting to get what it is that you and I have in our life, because they too want to feel that way. So really the magic is in our ability to connect, not just to communicate, to persuade, not just to sell. Now I'm going to work you through the workbook. This will be a work session. So if you have your workbook, you should now have it opened up to page number 1. And page number 1 should be titled The 7 P's of Selling. And I hope that you will write some things down. Let me tell you why. The palest ink is better than the most remarkable memory. We remember ideas, but for a short period of time. You got to write them down. I still use 3x5 cards. When I want to change a habit, learn an idea, I put it on a 3x5 card. I carry it with me for 21 days. I look at it 100 times a day. In 21 days, research shows that you and I can adopt new habits, and you and I can learn new stuff. So write it down. Here are the 7 P's of selling. You and I may think of ourselves as salespeople, and indeed we are. Every person with whom you and I come in touch is a salesperson. They sell us on themselves, their ideas, their career, their family. Mothers are salespeople to their children. Husbands are salespeople to their spouses, and so on. So we're all salespeople. You really can't build a great starlight business if you don't understand the premise, the profound premise of how to get people to buy from you. Buy you first, buy your ideas second, buy Starlight products third, and then recruit other people, and the process starts all over again. 7 P's of selling. Your power to persuade plenty of prospects to purchase your product at never a price, heaven forbid, never a price. Anybody can sell anything for a price. This is America. America's built on profit, no beautiful stage. No profit, hamburgers for lunch. No profit, we will not be at Opryland. It'll be days in all the way. Gotta have profit. Profit is a wonderful word. Your power to persuade plenty of prospects to purchase your product at a profit. And by that I mean not only to recruit enough people to come onto your team, but I also mean selling Starlight products ultimately at retail to customers. That's really what will build the business beyond imagination, here, border to border, coast to coast, and countries beyond. If there were an eighth P, by the way, to that definition, what might it be? Somebody guess. Yes, all these are good words. What? Very good. How about the word persistently? Does anything happen in this world if you don't really work at it persistently? Persistently, that's the key. If we're going to make something happen, we're going to make it happen day in, day out. I have a great sales manager friend of mine who lives in my home city of High Point, North Carolina, the furniture capital of the world. Whereas I speak to you today, some 80,000 people have come to our city from over 70 countries around the world. Furniture dealers and such to see the new furniture so they can sell it to you. Anyway, in my home city of High Point, North Carolina, this great sales manager friend of mine gathers his salespeople every Monday morning and he says, salespeople, this morning and today, when you go out calling on prospects, I don't want you sticking your foot in the door. I want you to stick your head in the door. That way, if the customer slams the door on your neck, you can keep on talking. And that's what I mean by persistence. Your power to persuade. Did you notice in that definition, the word sell doesn't even exist? Did you notice that? Have you noticed that the greatest communicators in our world, the finest salespeople in our world, don't try to do something unto us? Instead, they invite us into their world with such persuasion that we want to buy what it is they have. You got to live your life, you got to walk the talk. You got to have the smile on your face, the twinkle in your eye. You got to use the product. You got to sell it to enough customers. You got to get enough testimonials, so that you really ultimately are working on your persuasion skills, not strictly on your selling skills. Now here's why people buy. There are 4 reasons why people buy, by the way, and I've put the first word of each one of them in your blank there. The G stands for gain. We buy something because we want to gain something. I buy alert because I want to gain something to make me feel better in my life. The G stands for gain. The F stands for fear. Think of why people buy insurance, for example. I used to have an insurance salesman of mine whose techniques were not necessarily techniques I would personally like. He sold like house insurance, fire insurance, and he would take customers in his car and he'll drive them down to a burned down house, and he would park across the street and he would say, look at that house. Those people, poor people, did not have insurance on their house. And he would close the deal every single time, you know. People will buy based on fear. My, oh my, fear is a big, big motivator. Now the next one is P, stands for pride. Pride. People buy because they're proud. Look how nice you look. Look how pretty you look. How nice your hair looks. How nice your clothing looks. Why do you do that? You need clothing just to feel warm, or you need clothing so you don't get arrested. Why do you take all this time to look so nice? Because you're a proud person. That's why. I'll bet some of you, you know, if we looked underneath that clothing, you might have a ragged underwear on. No, not the ladies, not the ladies, no, because the ladies, their mother told them never leave the house. What if you were to have an accident? You'll embarrass the whole family. Am I right? But guys, oh my, what guy in this room did your mother tell you that? We guys can go on a trip for a week, forget our underwear, no sweat, turn it inside out, use it for 2 more weeks. And the I stands for imitation. Oh, how important are testimonials. Imitation. We all want to do what somebody else does. We all want to look as good as somebody we admire. Imitation is a big, big reason why people buy what they buy. But by the way, here's a little tip between you and me. I do a lot of executive seminars for executives about how to present themselves, including how to dress and how to look and so on. And the piece of advice I always give them is this. Remember, you're buying your clothes or having your hair done by someone who's probably making minimum wage. There's nothing wrong with minimum wage. But a person making minimum wage is not going to be the person who's going to take you to the zenith of success in your life. Because if they could, they would have already done it themselves. So I say to ladies, don't leave that to the hairstylist making minimum wage to fix your hair for you. You look at people you admire, you'd like to be like. People you see in them some good stuff. And you say, what are the similarities in the way they fix their hair? Take those pictures of the hairstyle and say, I want to look like that. Are you two okay? You seem to get excited about nothing. What is it that you had for lunch? You guys need to take some. You're not on Prozac, right? No. Lifeguard. That's it. It's lifeguard. Yes. Okay. Well, and the same thing with guys. Sometimes we'll buy our clothes from someone who's making minimum wage when we really need to listen to someone whom we admire and say, I want to be like that person, because that person has already charted the course of success. I've already walked it, already found where the potholes are. I want to learn from someone who's done it. Difference between a failure and a success. The failure says, can I do it? The success says, how can I do it? Show me the way and I'll get it done. So that's why people buy. Here's why people will not do business with you. Here's why people will not be recruited by somebody. Here's why people will not buy a retailer product that we may offer them. 4 very important reasons. The first one is no confidence. No confidence in you, your company, or your product. Any one of those 3 will keep people from buying from us. No confidence. No confidence in you, your product, or your company. Got to have confidence. If people have no confidence in us, why should they do business with us? No confidence. I already said confidence comes out of competence. Here's the second reason. No need. No need, no need, no need. Don't need it. I'm feeling good now. No need. Someone who says no need simply means you gotta persuade. You gotta show them how they can feel better, greater, live a more wonderful life. Third reason is no money. You've heard it a million times. Can't do it because I don't have the money. Here's what I found about money, and some of you remember my telling you the story that when I was in college, as a junior in college, there were days I did not have enough money to buy food to eat. And yet as a junior in college, I put $17 a month on the first piece of land I bought and paid for it 1/4 at a time. And when some writer, they did a story on me this month, actually, November issue of Entrepreneur magazine, and somebody says to me, how or what was the secret to your success? I'm always so amused by that question, because there is no secret to success. Not in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, not in North America. There are only systems for success. Starlight didn't succeed because of luck. In 4 or 5 years has become the leader in the industry because of its solid systems, both in product and process, because it attracts the finest of the finest, the best of the best. You sitting here today, that's why it succeeds. So there are no secrets. There are only systems, and they could be had by those who want them. No money, that means I haven't seen the value yet. That's why you and I can't be salespeople. You and I must be value interpreters. We must be value interpreters. When you and I are value interpreters, we create value in what we do, and people would want to get it. And the last reason, of course, is no hurry. No hurry. But let me suggest something to you. I've summarized all this in 2 lines at the bottom of page 1. That's all you really got to remember, these 2 lines. Now don't get mad at me when I tell you this, but it's the truth. The truth is the only reason someone will not do business with you or business with me is for these two reasons, nothing else. This is a whole sales seminar summarized in 2 lines. Reason number 1, they didn't explain it right, or in this case, we didn't explain it right. You did not explain it right. Because had you explained it right, they would have wanted to do business with you. They would have been recruited by you. They would have joined your team. They would have bought the products at retail. You didn't explain it right. You didn't touch their hot button. You didn't find what turns them on, what tunes them in, and what tones them up. Here's the second reason. They didn't believe you. They didn't believe you. You explained it right, but they didn't believe you. You got to explain it right, and you got to make sure they believe you. I don't know that I have time to tell the story, but I can't resist. Would you like to hear this wonderful, terrific, incredible story? Okay. Well, you talked me into it, so I'll tell you the story. I want you to imagine this. Now, imagine on a Saturday some years ago, this was back in the early 80s. Sit back, relax. It'll take me 7 or 8 minutes to tell the story. It's a wonderful sales story. Don't worry about the workbook. Most of it you can read on your own. If we don't finish every page, we'll do it next time. Life is not a matter of quantity, it's quality that counts. So here's the deal. It was Saturday. I had blue jeans on, t-shirt. Hard to imagine me with t-shirt and blue jeans, isn't it? I drove my car over from High Point, where I live, to a neighboring city called Greensboro, North Carolina. Well, good, then this story is going to mean something to you. I drove into a place called Pickard Imports, a car dealership that sells Mercedes and Volvos. I got out of my car, walked into the showroom. There were 7 salespeople there, all standing by the wall. Nobody bothered to talk to me except this one young salesperson. I could see all the other salespeople thinking to themselves, this young guy can't really figure out a good customer. He's obviously new. He's obviously inexperienced. And they were watching his activity. He came over to me and he said, hello, sir. How may I serve you today? I liked him already, because most people say, can I help you? No. Do I look like I need help? No, I don't need help, but serving, maybe I need something. I said, oh, well, I'm just looking around. He said, sir, let me just ask you a question. He said, sir, what model Mercedes do you own now? I said, I ain't got one. He said, that's funny, because you look like a man who would and should have one. I was falling in love with the guy right there and there. He took 27 minutes to show me every model on the floor, let me kick all the tires I wanted to kick, showed me a 7-minute video, told me why a Mercedes is a car of style. It's not ostentatious like maybe a Rolls Royce might be in the city in which I live, how Mercedes would last forever, how Mercedes would be a great write-off. In 83, 84 we could ride over 7 years and then get another one. And at the end I said, I thank you very much, and I began to leave. He looked at me with pad in one hand and pen in the other and said, sir, may I have your name, please? Wow. A guy with a pad and pen is expecting some stuff. You better give him the stuff. I said, sure, my name is Qubein. And watch to see what he's going to do. A dumb salesperson would say, mister, would you repeat it? And say, sure, my name is Qubein. A smart salesperson would say what? Would you spell it for me, please? I said, sure. I couldn't have said, yeah, it's Q-U-B-E. He would then know that I am a foreigner, right? No. So I said, sure, it's Q-U, B as in boy, E-I-N as in Norman. He put it down. It wasn't but 2 days later he called me up. He said, Mr. Qubein, gotta tell you, Mr. Qubein, we just got the car you're looking for. Now go back to 83. That was a 450 SEL. He said metallic blue on the outside, navy blue on the inside. It is a beauty. And he said, Mr. Qubein, or Mr. Qubein, I'm dying to show it to you. I said, dear friend, I'm a very busy man. I travel some 150 days a year around the world. I have no time to really come over and look at a car. He said, Mr. Qubein, just maybe I can bring the car over to you. I said, 3:30 today, I'll be glad to see you, but remember, 3:25, you're going to be 5 minutes too early, and 3:35, you're going to be 5 minutes too late. He said, 3:30 it will be, and by golly, 3:30 it was. And it was obvious to me that his manager did not trust him, because he came right along with him. Showed me the car, let me drive it around the block. I fell in love with this machine, and I wasn't even going through midlife crisis. I took him to my office and I wrote him a check. In 83, that was $42,000. Same car today, $120,000. He picked up the money, he walked out of my office, he went into the lobby of my office. There were 4 secretaries there, strategically located, one in every corner. In a voice everyone could hear, he looked to me, he said, Mr. Qubein, I admire you. I waved to all my secretaries to stop working, start taking some notes. I said, really? Why? I got time. He said, Mr. Qubein, it's not every day I work with a person who's a business person like you. I know what you did today. You did not spend your money. You invested your money in something very worthwhile. I know what you're going to do. You're going to drive that car around. You're going to feel safe. That's number 1. You're going to feel good. That's number 2. You're going to live in style. That's number 3. Oh, Mr. Qubein, I know. You're going to put this car on business. You will depreciate this car over 7 years. Oh, he said, what America needs are more refugees like you. I felt like giving the guy a $10,000 tip. You know what I'm saying? I said, oh, well, thank you very much. You honor me with your comments. I really appreciate it. He took 2 steps forward. He stopped. He looked back at me. Now everybody is sitting there taking notes. He said, Mr. Qubein. He said, Mr. Qubein, you know, when I work with a guy as smart as you, the least I can do is to be totally honest with you. I said, hey, I'm into honesty. Honesty, integrity, ethics. You're talking my language. What do you got on your mind? He said, Mr. Qubein, I feel badly about this because I really didn't tell you the whole story. I said, the whole story is beginning to sound like Paul Harvey. I said, what are you trying to tell me? He said, well, you see, he said, Mr. Qubein, I don't know how to tell you this, but this car comes in a set. I said, in a what? He said, you heard me correctly. When those German engineers made this machine. They made it with such precision, they never intended for it to be parked in your garage all by its lonely self. I said, I don't want anyone or anything to be lonely. Now we got a problem. I said, what are you saying to me? Oh, he said, when they made this car, this 4-door sedan, they made for it a sister car. I said, a sister car? He said, yeah. They call it the Q model. Oh, he said, Mr. Qubein, I want you to imagine this now. Summertime, you're at your place down North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, driving that baby with no top at all. In the wintertime, he said, you drive that car with its sturdy metal top, and in the autumn and in the spring, it's beautifully made, gorgeously designed fabric top. I said, you find me a metallic gray and you just sold another car. And he wet his pants right there in my office. We built a little glass house and we put on it, if you want to be successful, you got to get real and get well, man. Oh yeah, I said, hey, come back in my office, let's talk. Sat down there with his manager. By the way, this car in '83 cost $46,000 and the darn thing did not have a back seat. So before I hand you this check, gotta ask your manager a question. Mr. Manager, when was the last time one of your salesmen, sir, sold 2 cars worth $88,000 in less than 20 minutes? He said, never. I said, it ain't never gonna happen again either. Until and unless you teach every one of your salespeople to stop playing God and start being competent. You could not judge a guy with tennis shoes, blue jeans, and a t-shirt. What you got to do, I said, is teach your people how to qualify human beings, because when you least expect it, they'll be the biggest recruit. When you least expect it, they'll be the biggest retail customer. When you least expect it, someone in your downline will wake up and start smelling the roses. I looked over to the salesman. I said, I gotta ask you a question. What gave you the courage to stand in my office in front of my people, having just sold me an expensive car, to ask me to buy another car as if to say, you got a donut? Would you like a cup of coffee to go with it? He said, Mr. Qubein, since I saw you on that Saturday afternoon, I have done nothing but check you out. Oh, man. He said, I got hold of some of your tapes and memorized that stuff, man. I got your sales book. I can recite it to you now. It works. That stuff works, he said. Oh, my. That was a true story. I was in '83, and I've never driven another car since. I exchanged the cars every 2, 3, 4 years. I tell the story of the young man who sometimes in his naivety had power. Sometimes you and I think we know enough to make the decisions to hold us back. And the moment we lose our innocence and our childlike wonder, we become constipated. Mentally constipated, that is. Let's go to page 2. Top of page 2. We spend 78% of our time, you and I, 78% of our time every day at communicating. 78% of our time, therefore, it goes without saying, you and I have got to learn how to communicate effectively. Item 2, 7 out of 10 messages, according to the University of Minnesota, 7 out of 10 messages actually don't get through. Oh my! What lousy efficiency. That suggests that you and I operate at a 30% efficiency rate. When time is the only inventory that you've got, it's the only thing in your life you cannot replenish, is time. We ought to use time like it's the greatest of all treasures, because none of us can make more of it. 30%, University of Minnesota says, efficiency rate for most people at communication. Here's what they're really saying, item 3, basically 70% of one's communication efforts, 70% of one's communication efforts get gargled somehow. They get gargled. By that we mean A, B, C, D. A, they get misunderstood. You say something and somebody misunderstands you. When my son Ramsey, who's 17 now, was about 2 or 3, and I left for work in the morning, I told him, I said, Ramsey, you've been giving your mom a hard time. And if I come back tonight and your mom says that you are a naughty boy, I, as your father, must spank you. So don't misbehave. Came back in the evening and my wife made a point of telling me in front of him that Ramsey was a naughty boy. And I called him over here and I said, Ramsey, remember the deal we made this morning? We made a little covenant, you and I. If you don't behave, I have to spank you. Now, I want you to remember something. I'm your father. I love you. I get no joy out of spanking you. The only reason I'm going to spank you is because I love you so much. And then I let him have it on his derriere 2 or 3 times. I'll never forget, as long as I live, as this 3-year-old boy looked up at me with tears coming down both of his cheeks, as if they were pearls tumbling down this youthful valley. And he said, Daddy. I said, yes, Ramsey. He said, Daddy, I don't want you to love me anymore. "70% of our messages somehow, sometimes get misunderstood. B, they get mistaken. Mistaken, we mean one thing and they mistake it for something else. C, they get missed. We send somebody a message, they never get it. And D, they get messed, as in messed up. They get messed up. By that we mean someone takes a message for you, they write down the wrong number, you can't call the person back, it gets messed up, opportunity lost. Here's what you and I have to do if we're really going to become good, solid communicators. We have to apply the slow method, S-L-O-W. The S stands for speaking. Speaking, not talking. Keep in mind, please keep in mind, you can talk about last night's ball game or today's ball game or tomorrow's weather, but if you're gonna say something about the starlight opportunity, you gotta think first. Design your words like an artist would design his or her work. And frame it in a way that the receiver would find in it value, inspiration, benefit. That's why we say speak, not just talk. We talk too much and we speak too little. I'll give you a couple examples. For example, how many times have you heard someone say, I love you more than you'll ever know? Have you heard that before? Why do we say stupid things like that? I mean, if you love me, go ahead and tell me how much you love me. Why are you teasing me so much? It makes no sense to me. How about when we say to someone, if I told him once, I told him 1,000 times. Like, he the dummy. No, 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 I the dummy. Because if I told him once and he didn't get it, and I told him twice and he didn't get it, and I told him 3 times and he didn't get it, maybe there's something wrong in the telling. How many times have you heard someone say, let me be honest with you? What's the alternative? Any of you remember the old Geritol commercial? The old Geritol commercial? The guy will stand on television, on TV. He'll have his wife standing next to him. He'll put his arm around his wife. He'll look straight in the TV camera and he'll say, my wife, she takes Geritol every day, and I love her for it. Now, I don't know about you. I used to worry about this woman. I'd lie up at night thinking, what if she stops taking Geritol? Who's going to love this woman? We say dumb things. Here's the best way to learn how to speak. Get a tape recorder and record yourself. Get a tape recorder and record yourself. You must record your presentation. And you must listen back to it. And you must ask questions like these. This person on this tape recorder, me, does she sound like they're intelligent? Do they sound persuasive? Do they sound honest? Do they sound passionate? Do they sound informed? Do they sound successful? And if not, why not? And if not, what must they do so they will feel all these things? Tape yourself and listen. If you're using too many ahs, ums, you know, or God forbid, the word like. I woke up this morning and I looked out the window and it was dark. And I said I have to turn the light on, but it was too far from my bed. Who invented the word like? Clearly a person who doesn't know a lot of words in English. It has no application. People who use too many like, that means their brain can't think fast enough to come up with something different. So don't succumb to this kind of stuff. Here's why. Because when you use repetitious stuff like that, it defocuses the listener from the message itself. And the listener now is focused on the interference itself. The word like. It's equivalent to guys. Gosh, I wish I have 2-3 hours with you because there's so much we need to cover. It's equivalent. Well, thank you. It's equivalent to the guy, God forbid we have one of those dudes here this afternoon. It's equivalent to the guy who might have hair where God never intended to be. Like on top of their nose. Do you know guys like that? And I've discovered these hairs on top of the nose always come in groups of 3. Now the only thing worse than having hair on top of the nose is hair coming out of the nose. I sat next to a guy from Atlanta to Los Angeles the other day who had, I'm not kidding you now, who had hair coming out of each nostril, roughly 1/4 of an inch per side. I thought the guy owned the broom factory. I wanted to tell him, give me your address for Christmas. I'm going to send you 2 red ribbons, you know. And then it struck me, how can this guy miss this hair coming out of his nose? Because I couldn't help but notice that he had no mustache. I ask you, when he shaved that morning, what did he do? Lift those up and... Now that is called interference. And when you got interference, you can't connect. You ask a question, does he have a partner in his life who could have pointed him to the hair. The point is, when you use words like, or you have some visual stuff that interferes, it robs you of your power of persuasion. So that's how you learn how to speak. You record yourself, you listen to yourself, you improve, become more persuasive. The second one is listen. I'll tell you the best way to learn how to listen. This is such a simple technique, but it's so powerful. Here's what you do. When you watch TV or a video, take the remote control, assuming you live in a household where you can take the remote control. And as the newscaster reads the news, for a whole sentence, mute them, and out loud repeat what they just said. The first once or twice you do that, you'll become very frustrated because you say to yourself, heavens, I can't even repeat it. But don't give up. Put the sound back on. Listen to one more sentence. Mute it. Repeat it. In a matter of 2 minutes, you'll become an outstanding listener. Here's why. Being a great listener does not come from your mother's womb. Being a great listener is not a talent reserved for the rich or the powerful or the good-looking or the smart. Being a good listener comes to those among us in this ballroom today who focus on listening. And you know how you focus on listening? When you determine in your heart and your soul that this person with whom you're speaking is a creature of God. If this person is a creature of God, he must be important. And if he or she are important, they deserve to have me pay attention to them. It's simple. The O stands for observing. Not just seeing, but observing. 95% of the people who will meet you or me will make an impression of you or me in the first 30 seconds they meet us. Is that fair? I think not. Is that what happens? Indeed. So I have a choice. I fight the world in its ways, or I survive and thrive and excel in spite of its ways. I seek not to waste my time on that which cannot be done. I search for ways to invest my time in those things that I can, in fact, have some impact upon, so I can move forward, not sideward and not backwards. Observing is powerful, and most of us are not as good at it as we think we are. We think we can look at someone and read them, but we really can't. And yet if you're trying to persuade someone about something, recruiting someone in your downline, you've got to watch them, because the greatest salespeople on the face of this earth are those who listen and observe their way to more sales, not the ones who talk their way to more sales. Think about your best pals. Your best pals are the ones who listen to you, observe you, and say, is something wrong? Can I help in some way? They know when you're not feeling well. And observation is an interesting technique. Let me ask you to do something for me. Take your right arm, stick it ahead of you like this, index finger and a thumb, make me an O like Campbell, alphabet soup, O, very good. Now if you will please, do exactly as I say, do as quickly as I say, do it. Do exactly as I say, do as quickly as I say, do it. Do exactly as I say, do. I have to repeat the instructions 3 times in case there's some Democrats here. You got to do exactly as I say, do. Don't worry, I don't belong to any organized political party. I'm a Republican. Do exactly as I say, do as quickly as I say, do it. Bring the hand very quickly to your head. Very good. To your chest. You're terrific. To your back. Fantastic. To your right leg. Superb. To your chin. My, oh my. My, oh my, oh my. I said to your chin. I noticed a couple of guys here. One of them looked over to the other one and said, hot dang, I got this one right. I had one guy in a seminar one time for 10 minutes, had his hand on his cheek, would not move his hand. I said, sir, I said to your chin. He said, this is my chin. 3 facelifts, he said, this is my chin. Why did you put your hand on your cheek when I said to your chin? Because in this case you looked at me and did what I did, but you did not listen to me. It's called congruent behavior. We've got to listen, we've got to see, and we've got to speak. Much like an orchestra can bring together 30, 40, 100 different musicians, each playing his or her instrument, but together making an incredible philharmonic sound that we're enamored by. That's what you and I have to do. We're going to communicate well. Speak, listen, observe. And the W stands for writing, by the way. We have to write well. How many of us write letters to other people and begin the letters? Ay, 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 ay. Begin the letters with the word I. Piece of advice from my heart to yours. Never again write a letter to anyone that you begin it with the word I. Dear Nido, I am happy that I got you this video and I am sending it to you today because I think it will help you. That's not a letter about Nido, that's a letter about you. Wouldn't it be better to say, Dear Nido, you'll be glad to know that this tape can change your life, comma, introduce you to an incredible opportunity, comma, make you feel good as you get rich. That's a letter I'm going to keep and reread. So I say to people, don't begin with the word I. Incidentally, pages 3 and 4 are exercises that you can do on your own. So now we go to page 5. Page 5. I just want to summarize a couple of things on page 5 and page 6. I mentioned some of those last time to you, but in the context of communication, I'll mention them very briefly today and we'll move on, because I really want to get to page 7. Let me, it just occurred to me that I'm not being very honest with you. And so, I got to be very honest with you. And this is serious. I have to be out of here today by 3:30. And I haven't even told Tony this, but I felt like you and I get along so well that I really haven't opened my heart to you completely. So I'm just going to say this in 10 seconds and move on. Not to bring any bad news this afternoon, but since I like you and I think you like me, then you need to know what's going on in my life. Since I've seen you last, regretfully, my wife has been diagnosed with breast cancer. And in the last 2 months, my life has been turned upside down. And we have 4 children at home. The youngest is 8. I know, you're surprised. But you shouldn't be. I mean, I got a closet of Starlight stuff, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, it's hard when you have 4 kids at home who struggle with their mom, struggling with breast cancer. She has lost all her hair, and she did go through 3 operations, and she's doing chemotherapy, and it's very traumatic, and I'm not staying away from home overnight. So I flew in this morning, and I'll fly back out in a few minutes. And I say that to you because well, I'm glad you agree with me. I say that to you because I wouldn't want you to think I'm being rude, that I just come in here and then jump out of here. You see me running out of here in a few minutes. And the reason I'm going back to the lectern is to look at my watch and make sure that I don't miss my airplane. The airlines and I have an agreement. It's been a long-standing contract. If I don't show up on time, they can leave without me. So,
So let's go to page 5. But hey, we have a lot of faith. My wife is in a tremendous amount of peace. And I never knew I had so many friends in this world. She's gotten probably 1,500 letters and so on from people all over the world. And so many telephone calls, we had to hire extra people to handle just telephone lines. And I didn't take phone calls the last 2 months because I've just been so busy with other matters. And so it's really wonderful. Barbara Bush said something beautiful. She said, in this world of ours, here's what really counts. If you got faith, you got your family, you got your friends, you got it made. And in Starlight, you have bunches and bunches of friends, and you have one big, wonderful family. On page 5, success grows out of 4 things. I'm just going to give you those and jump over them. Number 1, a clear vision. A clear vision. You gotta know what it is you want out of life, otherwise it won't happen. You gotta have a clear vision. Number 2, I'm just gonna skip around some of these. Number 2, you gotta have a solid strategy. Go to page 6. Number 3, you have to have practical systems. And number 4, you have to have consistent execution. At some later date, I'll cover those in great detail. But for now, remember, where there is no vision, the people will perish. J.C. Penney, in his older years, said something beautiful. He said, although my eyesight may be dimming, my vision has never been greater. So number 1, you got to have a clear vision. Number 2, you got to have a solid strategy. Go over the next page now. Number 3, you have to have practical systems. And number 4, consistent execution. The greatest of ideas don't work unless you have consistent execution. All right, page 7. Page 7 makes a very important point. You really want to know how to communicate effectively with people? You really want to know how to recruit more people? You really want to know how to get more retail customers for your wonderful Starlight products? Here's the answer. It doesn't matter how much you know. It doesn't matter how much you know. It doesn't matter what it is that you can do. You know why? Because both of those are minimum requirements. If you didn't know a lot and you couldn't do a lot, you wouldn't get paid for doing it. Big deal. Knowing your stuff and doing it well are minimum requirements for a professional. Here's what does matter. How other people and what other people believe and perceive we can do for them. Nobody wants to buy pills in a bottle. Everybody wants to buy energy and youthfulness and good health. So that's what positioning is all about. How do you position yourself? 5 quick ways. Number 1, first in your own mind. You position yourself first in your own mind. Harvard University says, just came up with a study that says that 1 out of every 3 Americans, this is a terrible study, I can't believe that they would do this. It was a government-paid study from your tax dollars. They concluded that 1 out of every 3 Americans is ugly. Now, Tony, wherever you are, please take a note of this, because I'd like to really send back a message to Harvard. Perhaps you can fax it to them tonight and tell them that we did a little study here and that they're wrong, by golly. They said 1 of every 3 Americans is ugly. Take a good look at the person to your right, will you please? Take a good look at the person to your left, will you please? Now, listen to me. If those 2 looked okay to you... Okay, forgive me, that was silly, I admit it. The truth is, there is no ugly person here. Here's why. Ugly is only the way you feel about yourself. If you feel ugly, you'll act ugly. What we gotta do is walk with confidence. First, you position yourself in your own mind. As a person thinketh in his visceral, the Bible says, so is he, so is she. Garbage in, garbage out, good things in, good things out. In my poorest days, I was poor in my pocketbook. I can honestly say to you, I was never poor in my spirit. My mother saw to it. My mother, with 4th grade education, saw to it that being poor is a temporary state for those who are doing something about it. Yes, first in your own mind. Secondly, you position yourself with your attitude. You position yourself with your attitude. Thirdly, you position yourself with your appearance. You position yourself with your appearance. Here's a question I'll ask you about appearance. When people look at you, what do they see? Do they see a smart person? Do they see a dumb person? Do they see a committed person? Do they see a tentative person? Do they see a happy person? Do they see a sad person? Do they see a passionate person? Or do they see a bored, unenthusiastic person? Second question, what is it you want them to see? How is it you want them to see you? Because you see, if they're not seeing you the way that you want them to see you, you're mispositioning yourself when you least need to do that. Now, I've told you earlier, I've written many books, many cassettes, and many videos, and ask for them through Starlight. They should be available through the magazine, through Starlight, so you give Tony hell. Say, Tony, I want Nido stuff, by golly, Tony. All right. All right, Tony. Get your act together, Tony. Okay, I have wonderful materials. I really do, and I'll tell you why. Because every book I've ever written and every cassette I've ever recorded came from my experience in life. I don't go to the library and research stuff. It came from the experience of an immigrant who came to America with nothing in his pocket, no language on his tongue, and no connections to open any doors for him. And by working hard and smart and by the grace of God and good friends that I hung around, I was able to build something in my life. It's those strategies that I learned that I expound upon in my own material. Let me tell you something. Number 4, you position yourself with your words. You position yourself with your words. You position yourself with your words. Unfortunately, there are people who will still use very tentative words. Ask this question. This is a powerful question. I ask me this question every day. Why should this audience listen to me today? Why should you listen to me, and why now? Why should this person with whom you are talking about, Starlight, listen to you? And why should they listen to you now? Can you see how by asking that question, you focus on the person and their needs and fears and aspirations and wishes, and you become better with your words. I know people who use words like I think, or I might, or I'll try. I even know a guy who says, I think I might be able to try. Get rid of negative words. Adopt in your life positive words. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to skip the other blanks. The rest of the material you can read all on your own, because a lot of it, there's more stuff there to read than you'd want to read anytime soon, so you got a lot of stuff. These blanks, don't worry about them. We'll cover them some other time, and maybe I'll write an article and cover them in there. I've covered the most important stuff, but I got to end with this story because it's more fun than anything I can really put for you on the notes. So listen to this story. When it's all said and done, the only thing that really matters in your life or mine is your attitude. You got the right attitude, you'll get the knowledge. You'll read the books. You'll listen to the tapes. You'll watch the videos. You'll attend the seminars. You'll hang around brilliant and smart people. I'm not worried about you. It's the person who doesn't have the good attitude that gets messed up. Great story. Guy flying from Pittsburgh down to Atlanta, Friday afternoon. Negative guy. Never been to a Starlight conference. Complaining about everything. Life and living. God and the angels, the president and the economy, his wife and his children, his work and his company, everything he was complaining about. They served dinner on the plane. Dinner wasn't much, it was a sandwich. Everybody ate the sandwich, and thank God Almighty that we had something to eat in this country, but not this dude. Oh no, not this dude. This dude reached out to the little bell above him, and he went ding ding, ring ring, ring ding, some more, till the flight attendant came running down the aisle. Sir, she said, is there an emergency? Is there a problem? Can I help you in some way? He said, yes ma'am. He said, this is a bad sandwich. Flight attendant picked up the sandwich with her left hand, looked at it, and she went, bad sandwich, bad sandwich. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't care how busy I was. If I were on that plane, I would have stayed on the plane till every last passenger got off. I would have wanted to interview this flight attendant. I would have wanted to say to him, man, I gotta know, how did you think of this wonderful activity? I mean, the guy was a jerk. And I could just hear the flight attendant saying to me, oh, well, I've been doing this a long time. I don't occupy my mind with that which is negative or pessimistic. When the guy told me that was a bad sandwich, I could have said to him, sir, you don't like this sandwich? Let me tell you what you can do with this sandwich. And from the looks of things, sir, it would fit just perfectly. I can hear her now saying, oh, had I done so, I would have dragged my way back to the galley, and the people, my friends, my colleagues would say, what are you so mad about? And I would say, oh God, I hate this job. Thank God it's Friday. I can't wait till I retire. I've had it up to here with all these dumb passengers. Instead, can't you just see what she did? I could just hear her say, oh man, sure, I could have told him to stuff the sandwich. I could have told him, if you don't like this airplane, sir, we don't need your business anymore. And if you don't like this flight, no sweat. Do you see the exit sign over there? Instead, she was going back to the galley, running, having a difficult time holding back her laughter. And when her friend said, what in the world is the matter? She said, you won't believe what I just did. And her friends would say, what did you just do? And she'd say, I just beat the hell out of a sandwich. And her friends would have said, I never have seen a sandwich spanked before. And then she'd say, oh God, how I love this job. It's too bad it's Friday. It's too bad they make me retire. I love meeting all these wonderful people and having all these tremendous experiences. And what is the difference, I ask you, on this Saturday at Opryland in Nashville? The difference to success in any endeavor is attitude. Thank you, and God bless you.
We understand. Thank you for being here.
Bye-bye.